So today we're going to give you a bit of an update on all things TEA. You're going to hear a financial update, operational update, news from our divisions, and we're going to finish up by answering some of your regularly asked questions. But my first duty is to say a huge thank you to our outgoing international board members. So I would like to thank Tracy, our outgoing Western Division President, Adrian Liao, our outgoing APAC President, Melissa Blake, MK Haling, and Anthony Pruitt, who is our outgoing Treasurer. So thank you all for all of your hard work over the last years. It's very much appreciated. Please don't be strangers. There's always opportunity to stay involved, and we look forward to seeing you at future TEA events. So thank you. And of course, our immediate past president, Melissa, who is not going anywhere because she is staying on with us as our newly appointed CEO. But thank you, Melissa, for all of your volunteer work for the TEA over many years, not just the last couple of years as president. You know what it takes to run this organization, and you still stepped up to do it. So thank you, and we look forward to continuing to work with you as we go forward. So thank you all. And I now get to welcome our new board members. So joining the international board, we have Darren Brown, who's taken over as Western Division President, Ifat Caspi, returning for her second term on the international board, Stephen Cavett, who's taken over as APAC President, Chris Lang, also returning for his second term on the board, Clara, it says first term here, but it's actually her third term, having taken a year out. So welcome back, Clara. We're glad to have you back. Evi Sari, returning for a second term on the board. Paul Su, who's joining us for his first term. Danielle, who's joining the board as our European and Middle East Division President. Cliff Warner, who's joining for the first term on the board. Peter Weischer for his first term on the board. And Chris Wilridge, also his first term now as a board member, having been a member as president of the ME division for the last 2 years. So welcome all, and I look forward to working with you. And this is our full international board for 2025. So I look forward to working with all of you over the next year and beyond. I'd also like to take a minute to thank our global partners and all of our sponsors. As you'll hear later, running the TEA requires significant funding, and we couldn't do it without all of the support that we get from you. So thank you very much. Your support is appreciated, and we look forward to continuing to work with you in future years as well. So thank you. Okay, before we get into things, I thought I should just give you a little bit of history to explain who I am and why are you listening to me? How did I get to this this position? So I'm going to start off about 40 years ago when I started experimenting with roller coaster design. And as you can see, I was a stickler for safety. I was wearing my safety Wellington boots, my safety gloves, and my high-vis hoodie. And I set up my little roller coaster in my back garden, or my parents' back garden. And from there, a love of the theme park world was born. But unfortunately, I didn't go straight into the theme park world. I had a meandering career through many roles, including golf caddy, shop assistant, circus performer, real estate agent, to name just a few. But I ended up in flight simulation. And it was there that I did my technical project management apprenticeship, and then spent several years studying via distance learning for my MBA. So, and whilst I enjoyed the technology of flight simulation, I really didn't enjoy the military world that we're in. So when in 2012, the opportunity arose to move into, to take my learnings from that industry and move it into the entertainment industry, I jumped at the chance. So I attended my first IAPA in 2012 and quickly found that I discovered that I'd found my tribe. I also learned what the inside of an equipment room looked like, and somewhere that I spent many years following that. 2 years later, 2014, I took part in my first TEA event, exploring Copenhagen. And that day, bizarrely, ended up watching the ballet in Tivoli Gardens with the Queen of Denmark. Just one of the crazy experiences I've had with TEA over the years. In 2017, Paul Kent passed over the crown of EME president to me, and I found myself in that position for 3 years. And during that time, I worked closely with Melissa and Shannon as they were presidents of Eastern and Western Division, respectively. Sorry. And I'm proud and honoured to have continued to work with them ever since. In 2020, Chuck Fawcett asked me to join his executive committee when he took over as president. And one thing led to another, and so here I am today. So after joining the executive committee, obviously we've jumped straight into an interesting time, or we were in the middle of an interesting time in COVID. So as the world started to recover from COVID, so did the TEA, but we had a lot of foundation rebuilding to do. And whilst we did have a strong staff, but a very new staff at the time, we were following an agency model. And so the staff we had were coming and going. And this chart that I've got up here is, for those that haven't seen it before, is the Tuckman model of team dynamics and building a new team. And we were kind of stuck. We were stuck in that forming and storming section. And we knew that we needed to make a change. And so earlier this year, we decided to make that change. We decided to start building our full-time staff, and we were very lucky to have Terry already on staff. We had Chloe join us and Karen join us early on in the year, but we also decided that it was time to appoint a CEO. And in our SPM in March, SPM is Strategic Planning Meeting. In our SPM, we all agreed that the challenge we had is we had to find someone that could hit the ground running. We couldn't afford to spend another year in that forming and storming mode of team. We needed a team that would be performing very quickly. And so we were very lucky that Melissa raised her hand and said this was something she was interested in taking on, because she really was absolutely the right person to jump straight in there, start with her feet already on the ground and running. And we've definitely seen over the last few months, as that staff team has continued to build, which Melissa will talk about in a minute, we've seen that we're definitely moving from norming into performing. So since becoming president, people have asked me many times, what's your vision for the TEA? And the answer to that is it's not about me. The TEA doesn't need a middle-aged white guy promoting my vision for the TEA. We have access to some of the most creative people in the world, many of whom are on our volunteer boards. So my vision, if that's the right word, is to learn from all of those people, take all of those creative ideas and work with our TEA leadership and staff to help organize them into great events. And that's what I've tried to illustrate with this diagram on the slide here. All that depth, all that creativity, all that color, it just needs some organization to turn it into wonderful things. And I truly believe we have the right group to do that. We do have just some strategy behind that, and we as a board review this strategy a lot, and we'll be reviewing it again in our strategic planning meeting in January, and we'll be setting the next stage of our strategy going forward, but it will still be based around these 4 pillars, which are still very relevant now. So just to finish my bit before I hand over, this time last year, Melissa showed this slide, and she talked about getting the right people in the right sides, in the right seats. And like all good journeys, there have been a few potholes and a few forks in the road since that discussion, but I do believe we now have the right people in the right seats, and we're going on to achieve some really great things. So with that, I'm really excited to hand off to some of those people now who can talk through some of the things going on in TEA. And we're going to start with Dan Memis, our new treasurer for 2025. So over to you, Dan.
All right, thank you, Matt. I like to think that this section goes early because it's not just because we want to get the finances out of the way. I think it provides some great context as we talk about the overall organization and the strategy. So real quick first, before we get to the numbers, just want to introduce myself. I'm Dan Memis. I'm the Executive Vice President of Financial Strategy and Business Development for Universal Destinations and Experiences. That's a really long title and hard to say, so I'm glad I got through it. Serving in the second term on the I board, and I'm the incoming treasurer of the TEA. And when Matt and Melissa asked me to cover this section, they requested no self-promotion. And I realized that that would be an epic challenge for me, but I'd do my best. I've worked for Universal for 22 years, and I spent a good portion of my career working as the CFO at Universal Creative before moving into my current role. I'm just proud to serve the TEA and really have a tremendous amount of respect for this industry and for the epic companies that make it up. And again, before we get to the numbers, I do want to take a moment to thank the outgoing treasurer, Anthony Pruitt, for his epic service to the TEA. They always say that you want to leave a job in a better place than you found it. That's definitely the case with Anthony. He helped navigate this organization through an extremely challenging time and has built a strong financial foundation off of which to grow the organization. So thank you again, Anthony, for your epic contributions. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, let's talk numbers. So this slide shows the performance of the TEA dating back to 2016. The blocks represent net income or loss, green net income, red net loss, and the line represents revenue. And you'll notice that the TEA is really representation of the overall industry and the members that it serves. Pre-COVID, TEA was generating net profit, and that helped provide a platform to expand its offering to members and also grow the cash reserves to ensure financial stability. This became extremely important as we went through the pandemic. And you could see that much like the majority of the industry, the TEA felt the immediate impacts of COVID-19 and has been working its way back to profitability, fighting an industry that's still in recovery and significant inflationary pressure. As we flip the slide to 2024, let's talk about the 2024 performance. So in 2024, this upward trend continues, and we're projecting a net loss of about 88,000. The year's not done, so that's a forecast through the end of December. While not profitable, it is a $200,000 improvement from 2023. And so we look at the TEA performance, really want to talk about 4 key areas that we should focus on. Sponsorship, events, which is a mix of divisional and signature events, membership, and corporate expenses. And I'll touch on each of those quickly. First of all, sponsorship. If we go back to 24 for a second, not there yet. All right. So the organization has seen a strong improvement in year-over-year global sponsorship revenue. Just want to thank all of the global partners. Matt put up the slide earlier, and for the epic work of Chloe and the corporate team to cultivate and grow those relationships. On the events front, strong year-over-year ticket sales and event sponsorship, and that growth helped to offset rising production costs. I want to take a moment to compliment the division boards for the epic work in driving value to the members through quality programming. On the membership front, we were projecting to have revenue grow in 2024, but it actually shrunk 5% versus 2023. And if you look historically at membership revenues over the past several years, membership revenue has been fairly flat historically, and this will be a key focus area for leadership as we move into 2025. And last, expenses. 2024 was a transition year for the TEA. Matt touched on it a little bit. Not only did we change the executive leadership, we also transitioned from more of an outsourced staff model to an internal hires. And despite all those changes, our corporate expenses are down 3% versus 2023. So now as we kind of look at 2025 and beyond, really want to focus on 3 key budget priorities. First, we need to create a plan that provides a strong foundation for sustainable growth in 2025 and beyond. And what I'll say is Melissa and her team have already done an epic job transitioning systems and processes that not only provide increased value to the members, but also streamline operations. I'm sure she'll be sharing those with you in the next section. Second, return TEA to profitability for the first time since 2019. I can say that we already have a preliminary budget that we've presented to the international board that does exactly that. And we'll finalize that budget after the strategic planning sessions that we're going to go through in January. And last but not least, focus is, and this is always the key focus, is delivering value to our membership and sponsors. And if we do that, which we will, that will in turn generate revenue growth, which can be reinvested into programs that drive incremental value to our members and for the industry at large. So with that, we'll conclude the financial section. I'll transition to Melissa, who will deliver her epic annual report. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. That was truly an epic level presentation, so we appreciate it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about where have we been in 2024 from a staff standpoint, and then we'll go into what our focus is for 2025. First, some overall membership highlights. We have 20,000 active contacts within the TEA community right now. As As a trade organization, we're an organization of both companies, large, small, companies of one, as well as individual members, which is mainly our students and our academic representation. So of that, there's 1,605 active members, and that represents the 20,000 contacts that the TEA represents on a global format. 2024 has been a really busy year. So what I've done is kind of laid out different key initiatives that have been rolled out in this year of transition to really start to align back to what those strategic focuses are for the board, related to how do we grow our global community and global platforms? How do we continue to share knowledge? And how do we position the TEA as a brand of excellence and prestige around the world? So I'm not going to go through all of these talking points, but I'll highlight just a few of them. Over 10,000 attendees at our global events in 2024. We relaunched SAY Asia. This is the first time SAY Asia came back online since 2019, and had over 100 attendees at that event hosted at Disney Hong Kong. So thank you for that. We introduced TEA Central at IAPA Expo, really looking at how we reposition the TEA at IAPA, not just with our show floor presence or international mixer, but offering a commercially driven space where our members can take meetings and introduce their products in a new and different way. We have over 50 global and event sponsors across the organization, including 5 of our premier partners. We can't do this without our key sponsors. You'll hear us talk more and more about that going into 2025. But it is the support of those sponsors, both our global sponsors as well as our in-kind partners, who really help us deliver key signature events such as the THEAs or Inspire or SATES around the world, and allows us to keep the programs at an accessible rate for attendees to join us at. We hosted our 30th annual THEAs Gala. 30 years of celebrating excellence in our industry. We were able to all gather together for a pretty amazing gala and then an even more epic live band karaoke afterwards. We're introducing a new recognition this year called the Recognition of Merit, which will be delivered at Inspire in 2025. Being able to shine more light on projects and collaborators who deliver excellent projects from around the world. We're in the process of piloting a new mentorship program, which is something that we've talked about for a very long time. And most importantly, we've been able to bring in 7 new staff members into the organization. The team and the staff is 100% brand new, with the exception of Terry, who's our legacy staff member, and Chloe, who joined in 2023. So we've been doing a lot, but what does that mean going into 2025? Really, 2025 is going to be the year of stabilizing the TEA. It's about really setting that groundwork. So as we look at not only how we operate as an association and drive value to our members and to our community, but how do we make sure we stabilize so then we can start to really sustain the organization as we look into 2026 and beyond. The goal is to put money back into those reserves, because we never know what's going to face us. But you've also heard me say, no money, no mission. We want to make sure that the dollars that we're investing back into this organization, you're seeing back in member value and member benefit. So 2025, I've broken out into 5 key initiatives, and everything we do drives back to these 5 key things. First, really looking at member value and member benefits. You as a member, what do you need? What do you want? How can the TEA help support that in a broader and different way? Second is member engagement. How do we engage our members? Every type of member looks at member engagement a little bit differently and needs a little bit different of an approach. So engagement with our divisions, engagement with our boards, with our programs and services, making sure our member engagement, which ties back to member value, is top notch. Event optimization. TEA does some amazing events with really amazing thought leadership and expertise, but how do we optimize those? How do we make sure that we are spending the dollars where they make sense? Dan mentioned, and so did Matt, event production costs are highly inflated. We're dealing with major escalation across all of our events. So it's our job to make sure we're also managing those expenses, putting the money where the value is, so then we can pass on those benefits back to our members. Global impact. What are we doing outside, around the world? How are we connecting with our global audience? Not only the ones we know, but the ones that we want to know. And then, of course, organizational optimization. Running the TEA as a model of organizational management excellence, making sure that we're putting in the right tools and processes and softwares in place so our very lean and small team of 8 can be as efficient as possible, while making sure expense management is being realized. So a couple of exciting things have already started. We have a new TEA website. It is still teaconnect.org. You can go online. We're live launching this. So I think every day that you log in, you probably will find something brand new on the website for you to engage with. But this is the first step in how we start to interact with our global membership community. It's a new look, it's a new feel. And as we're continuing to roll this out, really start to engage, click around, look at some of the content that's being delivered there, which is, like I said, ever evolving to make sure we're speaking in the voice of our members and our future members. The next part of this is a brand new membership database. So this is rolling out. It's actually live launching over this week into through the weekend. So you'll be getting emails into your inbox. Don't delete them. Move them and pay attention to them. This is how you log into your new member profile and in your new member directory. There is an enhanced member directory feature where you can start to figure out who does what types of disciplines around the world, the regions of the world that they are representing. So as you're looking for a partner or a vendor who does a very specific type of trade, our member directory will be a great tool for those to do that research. Also in this back end is going to be rolling out community platforms, community chats that are going to be focused not only around your geographic region, but also your areas of interest. So a lot of evolution is happening about how you engage with the TEA if you're not in person, but you can have a more virtual, ongoing daily presence within this community. This is also where this webinar is going to be hosted, along with other expertise or virtual roundtables that we're going to be launching. So this is very exciting and a big, big change for the TEA. Talking about global presence, we already have 3 signature events that we are hosting around the world. One being TEA Explorers Ghibli Park, which is a THEA Award recipient for this year for Immersive Land. So for those who are interested, are local, please join us. As well as our 2 state programs, State Europe being hosted at Blackpool in the UK, and then State APAC 2025 being hosted with Weta Workshop in New Zealand. So very excited to expand that global presence, and more global events are going to be announced in the coming weeks. So please keep an eye out for that. So I talked a little bit about our staff. Our staff is really what makes the TEA great. These are the individuals behind the scenes or in front of the scenes. Please engage with them, work with them. We're separated into three major buckets that tie back to our strategic initiatives, programs and services, industry relations, then finance and admin, which is that organizational excellence side of what we do. If we go to the next slide, we're going to post this right on the website. So one of the biggest questions we get is, who do I call for this? Well, here's everything everybody does. So we'll post this in a really accessible place for everybody to know, who do I call if I have a question on this aspect? Again, it's a lean team that does a lot, but it's really only as successful as all of our volunteer leaders that help support us on a day-to-day basis. But we are here, we are accessible, we're here to support you all with any questions, ideas, thoughts, comments that you might have. Please reach out. That's what the team is here to assist with. And last but not least, it wouldn't be a TEA talk if I didn't soft plug Inspire and Thea's, but I'm going to hard plug it and say TEA Inspire 2025 week. Tickets are going to be going on sale hopefully next week. We have a whole host of programming that's going to be happening, 2 pre-conference workshops, plus Inspire, which will be 2 full days this year, not a day and a half. And then, of course, our Inspire the Night hosted at Universal Studios Hollywood, where we will be immersed completely into the world of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter this year. So very excited about that. And then, of course, our 31st annual Thea's Gala, where we are recognizing more award recipients than we have ever before. So please make sure you're joining us for this really epic level Thea's Gala, and I can't wait to see you all there. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Matt to introduce your divisions. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Melissa. So as you heard, there's so much been going on at HQ over the last few weeks and months. And thank you again to all of our staff team, especially the database and website stuff. It's been a mammoth effort. Falling just at the same time as one of the biggest conferences we attend for the year. So it really has been a huge effort over the holiday period as well. So thank you all. I'm now going to pass quickly over to Adrian, who is our outgoing Asia Pacific president. He's going to talk about the year in APAC in 2024. So over to you, Adrian.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Well, I just want to thank you everyone for coming to this annual meeting again, and I want to thank you, the outgoing Asia Pacific board members. Of course, Gregory. I want to thank Osman, Rick, Eric, KG-san, and Mason. What a wonderful team that we've been working with for the past 2 years and last year. And I think this is a wonderful team, and thank you for all the efforts and all the time they're given to a contribution to APAC. When, of course, APAC has so much of things to give for the past whole year, as Melissa has shared. We brought back SAIT 2024 this year to Hong Kong. And of course, some of the memories that we have for the 2024, we started in January 2024 with the Hong Kong meetup. We have more than, I think, 60 people attended the events in Hong Kong in January 2024. And then we have another couple of IAPA mixer. We have one IAPA mixer in Bangkok 2024. And the event area was packed. And also we started bi-monthly mixers around the Asia APAC, Beijing, Shanghai, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So these are the places that we did our bi-monthly mixers, and more mixers will be coming next year. I'll let Stephen later on to talk about that. And of course, the APAC's Next Gen event after our SAIT 2024 and our SAIT 2024 as well. Now I hand over back to Stephen our incoming Asia Pacific President. Stephen, over to you.
Thanks, Adron, and a special thanks to you for all your leadership through a really tough time in the Asia Pacific region. Adron was vital in getting our Asia Pacific board back online, and really a special thank you to you for leading us through that time. And absolutely, we will be keeping you around because your expertise is critical to our success going forward. So, Adron, you're not going to be going very far. So hi, I'm Stephen Cavett, incoming board president for Asia Pacific region. This is our current board, including Rick Aythorne, Xiao Bao, Paul Boyland, new incoming Asia Pacific board member from Panasonic Connect, Eve Kai from P&A Associates in Singapore. She's located in Hong Kong in their Hong Kong office. Jonathan Casson from Sony Pictures Entertainment, Beth Chong, Michael Chase, new incoming board member, Rebecca Chen from Chimlong, and Anya Huang from THG. We have Daniel Kent in Singapore, Darren Lim from Neon in Singapore, Susan Leong from Malaysia, Henry Chiu from Shendi in Shanghai, Mike Ross, our Melbourne representative and vice president of APAC, Daisy Shong from Fanta Wild in Shenzhen, and Yuja Wang, also new incoming board member from Scenario. She's based in Shanghai. So an exciting new group of people. Speaking of exciting, or should I say epic, let's talk about events coming up. Melissa mentioned Ghibli Explorers, and just a quick word on that. It's going to be a really special event. We've been working on this for quite a long time. Ghibli's been very gracious to allow us into the park. That we will be the only outside event that they've ever held. So that's special in and of itself, but any Ghibli fan really must come because we are going to have Goro Miyazaki, who is Hayao, the filmmaker's son, speaking at the event. So it's going to be incredibly special, and we will get a special behind the scenes tour of Ghibli Park. So any Ghibli fan should definitely come and join us. And we are in the midst of setting up TA SATE Asia Pacific in New Zealand. And if you like anything Lord of the Rings, then you're going to love our SATE Asia. We're really going to blow the doors off of this one. It's our second year back, and I think we're really hitting our stride. So make the journey down to New Zealand. We keep adding events, so I think we're going to keep you there for at least a couple weeks. But start with the SATE event. It's going to be spectacular. And those are the highlights. We have some of the other things on the left, some of our events, many of which revolve around some of our partnerships in the region, which are becoming very important, such as Infocom and Alara in Australia. And this really speaks to what Melissa was talking about, our international reach. So it will be my goal as Asia Pacific Board President to really bring in the rest of the region in Asia Pacific, including Japan and Korea, Vietnam, Australia, New Zealand. We have a really, really big area in APAC, and I plan to take full advantage of that in the next 2 years. So thank you very much. And I'm going to pass you over to our friend, Matthew Cross.
Well, good morning and good day, and thank you. Happy to be here. So we have some images here from some of the various events we had in Eastern North America. It was a fantastic year. We have quite the crowd. For any of you that have attended our open house or mixer events in Orlando, they're incredibly well attended and popular. Sometimes as many as 250, 300 people will come. We had 2 fantastic Explorers events this year in Toronto and Boston. The year started with Universal and I'm not going to make the joke, but We started with the Born Stuntacular behind the scenes, which was really special. And then, of course, we just ended with our holiday party. That was a great way to cap off the end of the year. And the picture there with the Transformers in the back is from our in-person board meeting that started us off really strong. The other thing that we prepared, and I'm just going to ask, we play this real quick and then we'll keep going, but we've done a video series that was played at the member booth at IAPA, highlighting some key quotes so that it could play on loop and people could see the value proposition that our board members are receiving from the TEA. There's also been video interviews that have been pushed out, and there's a highlight reel that we'll be able to use as collateral later. Because one of the things that I think we need to continue to tell, and has been a big push within Eastern North America, is we have a lot of different types of members now. Themed entertainment's our backbone, but our members are surviving by doing all kinds of different work, and they have different lenses and different approaches to things. So we really wanted to tell that story, because I think it will resonate with an ever-increasing audience of people looking to join the TEA and what value they can get from it. So we'll go to the next slide. But it was a year of impact, and I'm extremely fortunate in my role, very similar to what Matt Barton said. I exist to support our fantastic board members and volunteers who are great at what they do. As Melissa says, no money, no mission. So we've had a very positive net contribution to the TEA. And I think that comes with value that we're providing. Our membership awareness is growing. We've covered the events. I'm really proud of our education committee and the Outside the Box event, which was hosted by our friends at Gaylord and was specifically targeting landscape architecture and area program and sort of a different story. And we've launched our mentorship program, and we have a new series that I'll talk about in the next slide. For the board, sorry, not yet though. For the board, wanted to make sure we were increasing engagement and efficiency, giving visibility to board members for their contributions. About half our board is in Orlando, but the other half is all across Eastern North America. Give them a chance to own programs and ideas and see those implemented. And then for our volunteers, we really are trying to track who's giving us the most of their time, what are the benefits they get for being a volunteer. That could be preferential access to some of the events where we're getting behind the scenes. It could be discounted tickets worked into our budget, and access to education opportunities. For next year, we want to continue to improve. First and foremost, Denise Hatcher will be joining me as my vice president, which I'm extremely excited about. And we'll kick off the year in January with our in-person board meeting to really affirm what have we done well this last year and what can we do better with. And this window between now and then is where we'd love to hear from the members that are in our division. You can email me. Our contact information is on the website. We want to know what you want. So everything from more events or more open houses, we're gathering all that feedback and identifying our strategic objectives and then the tactics we'll deploy. But some things that we've already identified as great opportunities are a first of its kind combined explores in Dallas with both Eastern and Western North America. This is going to be a really spectacular event with some really unique opportunities. It'll probably be our largest Explorers program we've ever done. That's looking like May-ish of next year. And then our Eastern North America Leadership Forum, which I'm really excited to tell you all more about in Q1. We want to make sure our Eastern North America is well integrated with the international board and initiatives that are happening at the strategic level. Continue to recognize our volunteers. Our Digital Stories program will be split between Ask Me Anythings with people within the industry, so you can learn about their stories and how they developed their careers, but then also on specific job titles and positions, where we'll have several people participate in a panel format. These digital events are highly accessible. They expand the benefits for our members in Eastern North America that aren't located in some of the major destination cities. And then they'll be available for use after the fact with our new website, which is a great asset. We want to continue to listen to our sponsors and what they value and offer more catered solutions and target new membership growth in other areas in adjacent industries, something that's happening already. And with that, I will hand it over to EME and Chris Wilrich. Thank you all.
So is that the best regional president speaker handing over to the worst one? Is that what's happening now? Hi, I'm Chris, for those of you that don't know, and we've had a spectacular 2 years. I'm going to talk in 2 years sense, not in one, because I'm outgoing president and I've had the honor of fulfilling the role for the last 2 years. We have had this year specifically extraordinarily 5 Explores events. We have had 4 amazing TEA talks. We have had 7 legendary roundtables. We have had 5 magnificent TEA Tuesdays. We have had a spectacular SATE and a wonderful IAPA party. Did I do that okay? So that's 8 events held across 8 countries with a huge amount of people involved. So I'm outgoing. I wasn't expecting that slide, but I'm outgoing and that's fine. Also outgoing, we've got Ben Finley-McDougall, that's been a huge part of our next gen effort for the past year. And he is moving into his graduation of university. So therefore he doesn't quite have the time to be able to continue to give as much as we ask in EME to of our board members. And Vivian Picharel-Mazot, my God, she's got a hard name. She's been magnificent and obviously is ending her term this year as well. That's also not the slide I was expecting. At this point, I was going to be asking for all and thanking all of the board members that have been on the board whilst I have been president, which is a huge amount of people. And the point of that was TEA is a huge family to me, and the group of people that I've been working with for the last 2 years have been incredibly supportive, just like a family. And being able to build up and share the problems and find the solutions and share in successes has been honestly one of the highlights of my life. And before I start crying, I'm just going to get Danielle to take over. And I love you all.
Chris. So in our 2025 board, we have incoming board members Lawrence Beckers, David Michaels and Nicholas Sheepers. And we also have returning to the board Wim Strijbach, Paul Kent, Nora Hale and Alexander Brzezinski. We have also, I'm thrilled to say, chosen our exec for the EME division next year. So George Lawton will be secretary, Paul Hatton will be treasurer, Paul Taylor, Paul Kent and Dawn Foote will be vice president. So I'm very much looking forward to working with them closely over the next year. Since IAPA Europe, the board have been doing some amazing work dissecting the past year of the EME division. We think it's really important to go back and look not just at our strengths, but also our weaknesses and the threats that we've got coming. And so some of the things that we've identified that we want to work on over the next year, and we'll be building on this. For Marcoms, we are going to be strengthening our Marcoms in the EME region. And as part of that, we have now launched an Instagram page, which you are welcome to use the QR code in the corner of the screen, which will be up for the next 2 slides. So you can follow us there. There isn't a huge amount of content in there, but bear with us. There will be. From events and education, we have got a huge program that we'll be launching as much as possible in January. We really want it to be full of education. And if anyone has any ideas of places they'd like to go, experiences they've worked on that they would really love to showcase, then we'd love to hear from you. We'll be doing a call for that as well in January. So please do reach out to us at any point via email or on LinkedIn. We'll also be doing a general call for papers across the year. We recognise that for a lot of our events, sometimes we've got a very short period where you need to apply to speak at some of our events, and we want to make sure we've got a really diverse panel of speakers across the year. So if you're interested in talking about something and we haven't yet released a call for papers for a specific event, please do feel free to put your name forward with the subject that you're interested in talking about. Membership and new markets. Now, we know that membership is definitely an area where we need to grow within the EME region. And we are constantly reviewing member benefits. Our amazing membership team on the committee for the EME division constantly go out and speak with members and try and find out what they need from us. And we'll also be looking to extend into new markets. Middle East is a huge growth area for us. We know we're not doing enough there at the moment, and we need to improve that. So as well as the SEA Expo, and we'll be announcing this date in January, but we will be doing a TEA Explores that week in Riyadh. So again, if anyone has anything they'd love to showcase, please do reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. But really, that's an area for a lot of growth for us, and we feel that members will really appreciate those efforts that we're putting into that region. Next Gen is another huge area of growth for us, and one that we really struggle with in EME, primarily because we are made up of so many countries, so many languages. It's very difficult to try and create hubs for people. The team launched Discord earlier this year, and so we'll be strengthening our presence on there, doing many more Next Gen events. Bjorn very kindly spoke recently. We did a spotlight on him with Next Gens, and that was fantastic. So we'd love to do more of those spotlight sessions. And just increase the number of Next Gen tickets at existing events, which was something that Petro very kindly helped us with this year, and that we'd like to continue doing next year, but that all very much relies on sponsorship. Diversity, equity, accessibility and inclusion, as always, it's at the forefront of our minds, and we're very aware that we need to always make sure that we are creating safe spaces for all and ensure that everyone feels welcome at our events. So we are very much putting that at the forefront of our mind. And then wellness. We'll also be continuing to implement non-alcoholic and healthy options at events. And we'll be signposting members to the Wellness Council if required. But thank you very much, everyone, and looking forward to posting more about our events and getting stuck into 2025 in the new year. But make sure you follow our Instagram page. I'm going to hand over to Tracy, who is the outgoing Western North America president. Thank you, Tracy.
Tracy, you're on mute.
Well, let's start over. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we've got you now.
I was saying to myself that I'm going to miss everybody. I've been on the board for 7 years and had a 2-year consecutive terms and then the 2-year run as president. And it's been so much fun getting to know everybody and making so many friends. So I'm not going away, though. I'm still going to be a volunteer and you will see me around. But we're welcoming in a new president this year, Darren Brown, and you are certainly in good hands for sure. But before I pass the torch, I'd like to recognize the board members that will be transitioning off the board this year, along with myself. A huge thank you to Brian Hinckley from 7 Cents, who served as our membership committee, Lacey Campbell from Tate, who participated in numerous committees, including DEA&I and Next Gen, and helping with the Pacific Northwest Hub, and to Jean Rogers from Lionsgate for serving as our treasurer. Now we welcome our newest board members, Brett Jackson. Oh, can you go to the other slide? Oh, okay. So we're welcoming in Brett Jackson for another 2-year term, and he's going to be co-chairing our events committee. And I'm very happy to announce that we've elected in Sydney Holt from THG Creative, who's going to head up our communications committee, Elena Helbagian from McLaren Engineering, and Kelsey Goss from Life Floor, and Christina Panhai from PCL Construction, who's joining us formally from the Eastern Division Secretary. And this year we're bringing in a student representative, Emily Beechler from Cal Poly Pomona, to give that aspect of the Next Gen. All of our board members participate in at least one committee. They all have jobs to do. And the committees currently organized include events, communications, education, membership, sponsorships, hubs, DEA&I, and NextGen. And we accept volunteers in all of these committees. So you don't have to be a board member to participate. We need your help. Now I'd like to share some images from a year in review. So we are a networking organization foremost, and we hold a lot of events. So we plan a monthly mixer every month, the last Tuesday of the month. It's been routine for this year and it's going to continue. We have about 50 to 75 people, not as much as the Eastern Division, but it's a fun time. And we invite you every last Tuesday of the month to join us. We do switch locations. We also are very into education. We try to plan an educational virtual event once a month. We've been hosting a lot of educational events highlighting the master's program. And our friends at Storyland and Mel McGowan have been doing the interviews and the production on that. And it's been a fantastic series. We're going to be continuing. There's lots of masters to cover. We also have other series in our educational events, which one included Black History Month overview and highlight. And we also do a metaverse series. We have other series we're going to be continuing next year. So it's a fun committee to be involved in. Next slide. So one great inaugural mixer that we had this year was our LGBTQ plus community sponsored with the help of THG and MyCo2, a wonderful mixer event that was to that community specifically. It was an inaugural event. We're going to continue that. Everybody was resounding, yes, let's continue this series. It just made everybody feel welcome and safe. And then we also have our hubs events. We try to expand into all of our regions. We had 2 mixers for trade shows happening in Vegas. One was the Licensing Expo, and the other was for Infocom. Great sponsorship activity. Thank you very much. We had a really fun event at Atomic Golf. And then we are lucky in the LA, Southern California region to have lots of Halloween events. So we treat these as behind the scenes events. So we got to go behind the scenes for Delusion, as well as the Not Scary Farm and Queen Harbor Dark Harbor. So all those were behind the scenes. We had talks at Knott's Berry Farm from the creative team, and it was just a special, very, very involved month of October. So I am going to now pass the torch on to Darren Brown. I want to thank you for coming on board and taking the challenge.
All right, thank you very much, Tracy, and thanks for your years of service. All right, so looking at 2025, Tracy covered the incoming board members, but also mentioned that we have our new executive committee being formed. So we've got Lisa J. Shanley, who will be one of our vice presidents, Kelly Saul taking on a dual treasurer and vice president role, and we've got a secretary still to be named. So thank you to them and welcome to our other new division board members. So touching briefly before I get into events on what our division board is going to be doing, what we'll be up to as a team. We're going to start the year with an in-person workshop in January to really kind of solidify our plans and goals for 2025. Want to really focus on how we can be engaged board members and really ambassadors for the TEA in our region. We also want a big focus to be on clarity and efficiency for how we execute our events. Really, so our event leaders and volunteers who give us their time generously, we want to make it as easy as possible, as efficient as possible for everybody who puts on all the events that we do. And of course, as we talked about before, everything we do has to provide value in a financially healthy and responsible way. A few other priorities for our region. I'm from Vancouver, Canada, so I know very well that not everybody in our region lives in Southern California. So we need to provide accessible events and content to members throughout our region. We also need events that are welcoming and meet the needs of a variety of member segments. So whether you're next gen, mid-career, senior, we need to be thinking about our events so that we serve all these different markets. That may be in separate events, it may be events that combine all these range of experience levels, but we need to be thinking about that. We also want to build on the success last year we had and have some more conference and trade show adjacent events where we have members attending those events, and we can bring in maybe other non-members to explain the TEA story and the value that we provide. So Tracy Balls will be helping to lead that, which is a way that we can keep her roped in for the next year at least. So looking ahead to 2025 and how we're going to connect with people in person. So as Tracy mentioned, our monthly member mixers are kind of a base foundation of what we do. So if it's the last Tuesday of the month, you can plan on a TEA gathering somewhere in the Southern California area. That's even going to include the next Tuesday, last Tuesday of December, which happens to be December 31st. Our events team is really committed to that Tuesday cadence. So we're going to shift the time a bit and have our first New Year's Eve mixer, which is going to go from 12 noon to 3 o'clock at Calveras in Burbank. So you can start your New Year's Eve early, start there, head out, or just do that and then go home after and take an easy night, whatever you like. But we've got an option for you even in December. In Pacific Northwest, we've done really well growing our events in Vancouver this year. So we're looking ahead to 3 and possibly 4 events in Pacific Northwest region, including an event we're hoping to get organized in Seattle in the first half of 2025. For Next Gen, as Tracy mentioned, we've got a Next Gen board member, which we're very happy about. And we're planning to host another of the popular speed networking events that we've done in the past to help our Next Gen members develop experience and gain skills. As well, several members of our board are going to be participating in the mentoring program coming up. Matthew mentioned the TEA Explores Dallas event that we're partnering with Eastern North America on. So we're really looking to the Eastern Division and the success they've had with the Explores events they've done, looking to gain some experience, work together, bring this Dallas event to life. And more to come about that, but just knowing the list of potential locations we're narrowing into the itinerary, it's going to be a really great opportunity and value for anybody who joins us there. Beyond that, we've got another probably 4 to 6 events that we're developing through the year, open houses, behind the scenes events. And as Tracy mentioned, Southern California is a hotbed of Halloween haunt activities. So we'll be looking to bring at least one more premier event into our calendar for next year. Online content. Again, we got to serve the whole region, and we know that online content is really an important way to provide value to members outside of LA and Orlando and other hubs. So traditionally, Western North America has really provided a strong slate of programming in the past. So we want to revitalize that, bring that back, ramp it up in 2025. So we'll have a return of a couple of popular panels, as Tracy was mentioning. We've got our new technology metaverse panel that will be coming back probably midsummer with Kathleen Cohen. Michael Libby will likely be helping us out with that. We've got the theme park design series. Walter from EXP has helped put together. That'll be coming this year with a focus on ride engineering, other topics as well, including water parks, pirates, and more. Really a keystone of our online programming is the TEA Masters interviews that Storyland Studios supports and Mel McGowan does the interviewing for. So we want to maintain at least, and if possible, increase the cadence of that. We've done that quarterly the last couple of years. And being an engineer and thinking about the math, we name more than 4 masters per year. So we're actually falling behind on capturing the experience and the stories and the knowledge that this group has. So we want to look at ways that we can keep that going and, if anything, increase the interviews so we capture that valuable information. Beyond that, we've got plans for a few other topics as well that focus on different communities within the TEA membership. So overall, lots of opportunities in 2025 for members to connect and learn, both in the Western region, but also for the full membership through our online content. So with that, I think it's back to Matt for some questions and answers.
Thanks, Darren, and thanks to all of our presidents, outgoing and incoming. Thank you for those updates. Okay, so we wanted to have an open Q&A session, but timescales and logistics challenges have prevented that for this webinar. So today what we're going to do is just talk to a few of the questions and comments and feedback that we regularly hear. And a number of us on the executive committee are going to share our thoughts on that. After that, I want to just talk a little bit about how we might look at ways of opening up for Q&A in the future. And one opportunity there is we are looking to do this this members webinar twice a year rather than annually. So we hope to have another webinar scheduled for midway through the year, and we may be able to open up a little bit more for some Q&A in that. So more to come on that in the future. But for now, let's jump into the Q&A. So I will jump to my first question that we hear a lot, which is, can we have more member company open houses? So these are the open house events where you get to see backstage or behind the scenes tours of our member companies. They can tell you more about what they do. Some divisions have more of them than others, but I'm going to hand over to Shannon, who's going to talk a bit more about our position on that. Over to you, Shannon.
Good morning, everybody. Open houses. Yes, we love open houses, right? I know my company's had one, several companies in hub regions and Orlando. It's a great member benefit and a way for the industry to network, learn, and build in the community that we have. So hosting these events are a huge member benefit to our members and proven to be very successful to everybody. Open houses provide a unique platform for us to connect with our industry peers and share knowledge and foster relationships. There's a wealth of industry visibility. They elevate the TEA's profile within the industry and they attract new members. Open houses are also very challenging and can be very expensive, especially depending the region that you're in. You could have 50 member attendees up to hundreds of member attendees. So I would encourage you to work with your regional boards, the event committee, to kind of figure out the balance for your member company. They can get costly if you're offering food and beverage. But there's also ways to utilize and share that cost with other sponsors. Just so many things we can do with an open house. So just know that we love to have them, offer putting them on for members often, and we can always arrange something great for you.
Great, thanks, Shannon. Okay, the next one is I'm going to take, and that is a question that we've had a number of times, which is, why do we not have more diversity in our panels and programming? And so I guess the first answer to that is we can do better. We know we can do better, and we are striving to do better. But our events planners continue to strive to do so every time. And a really great first step has been taken over the last few years. Every single event that the TEA holds, this subject is discussed. We're always looking at what we're doing. We're always talking about if we're doing it well enough. You heard in the division presidents' reports earlier how many of the divisions already have DEAI as part of their planning in the year. So this is a constant topic, but do we always get it right? No, of course not. But we definitely try, and we continue to try, and we continue to get better. But we do need your help. We need speakers from all underrepresented areas, and honestly, we struggle to find them. We know they're out there, we're told they're out there, so we really would appreciate your help to help us find them so that we can really get those speakers and get them on our stage. And the other point I just wanted to make on this is, obviously, diversity goes far beyond any one defining factor. And please, when you're judging our panels and our speakers and our slate makeups, remember that we look for diversity for all kinds: gender, sexuality, nationality, race, religion, neurodiversity, disability, and more. And most of those cannot be conveyed by headshots. So before you judge whether a panel is diverse or not, please remember that it goes a long way beyond headshots. On a similar question, we're often asked what happened to the DEI committee. So I just wanted to share a quick update on that before I go on to the next question. So about a year and a half ago, I think, the DEI committee was put on hold when the standing chair decided it was time to step down, and we didn't have a willing candidate to step up. And at the same time, we were also going through a process of reviewing all of our committees and identifying if they had clear clarity of purpose and a mandate that said what they were doing and how they were going to do it. And it became very clear that we didn't have that for the DEI committee, and honestly, we didn't know how best to develop it. So we're still in the process of figuring out how to reset that up. But looking ahead, we have over the last year had some success in introducing the concept of councils in the TEA. So very similar to committees in that they're volunteer-led groups, but they're made up of members who have expertise and experience that position them well to be able to counsel other TEA leaders and staff. And this new classification is working really well with the Past President's Council and the Wellness Council, and we're looking to create the same for DAI Council. So we're looking for people who can help us create a mandate, who have strong expertise in this area, and obviously we want a diverse council as well. So if you think you can help us with that, then please do speak up and reach out to myself or Melissa or any TEA leader, and we'll continue to try and build and do better in that area. Okay, another question for you, Shannon. So why are so many of our events held in bars and other venues where alcohol is the focus? And you're on mute, Shannon.
Sorry, guys. This is actually one of the questions throughout the years that prompted the establishment of the Wellness Council. So with the help of the Wellness Council, we're continually looking for ways to offer a wider variety of event types throughout the association. The reality is, though, that very few venues other than those that serve alcohol will allow us to reserve networking space without significant cost and deposits. And trying to keep those networking opportunities at a very minimal cost or free. Bar mixers attract the numbers, and our members regularly say that they want more of those networking opportunities. So, you know, unfortunately for now, bar mixers are just one of those ways that we can do it affordably. And in hub venues, our regional boards work really hard to find diverse and interesting locations for the events. But happy to hear from you guys. If you have suggestions, please reach out to your regional board representatives, because we'd always love to bring those networking opportunities to different areas. So thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. And this one's for you to pick up, Dan. So why are TEA events so expensive? What is the member value, and why are we nickel and diming our members?
Thanks, Matt. So I think I'll start by saying, listening to the different divisional slates, you can definitely hear there's a broad range of events. So I don't know that, you know, there's different events at different price points, but I think as we think about events, it all starts with cost, right? So pricing is a direct correlation to cost. And you've heard throughout this that we're facing significant inflationary pressure on event costs. You probably are all seeing, you all see inflation in both your personal and your work lives. So the TEA is no different. And so we brought in a full-time in-house events manager, Christine Rogers. She's focused on optimizing events. We're looking at options to even reduce or eliminate event fees through our new membership tools. So we're focused on optimization, and that optimization will help to drive pricing impacts as well. But having said all that, you know, we're focused on also making sure that the events are priced appropriately. We look at benchmarking against other similar events to make sure that the pricing is reasonable, and ultimately focused on delivering great value. So I think your second part of the question about value, hopefully you've heard all of it in all the presentations today from the divisions, and I boil it down to kind of 4 words: connect, inspire, grow, celebrate. So a chance to network, a chance to inspire and be inspired, a chance for you to learn and grow, and then a chance to celebrate both your success and the success of others in the industry. So that's how I would explain the value proposition here. And I know a lot of the people on the call, myself included, find a lot of value in the offerings from the TEA.
Thanks, Dan. And on the subject of value, Chris, I think you're going to pick this one up. Another question we hear a lot is, what is the membership value for those outside of the hubs of the industry? So specifically Orlando and LA.
Yes, I think, like, you know, there's no doubt that it's much easier to put those events up in the industry hubs like Orlando or LA. But we're working really hard, and you just saw with the review from last year, but also with the outlook for 2025, that there's like so much more going on, which is actually outside LA or Orlando. And for example, last year we had like 77 in-person events, right? We had 14 in Orlando and 13 in Los Angeles. That leaves like 50 other events, outside of those industry hubs, which is like 2/3 of our events were actually not there. So I hope that really shows the value in the membership, which goes then beyond those locations, obviously. And our divisional boards are really working hard on putting more events out there and make that more diverse, and really have like things going on in locations around the globe. And we are on an amazing path with that, I think. And we also hope for membership value, that the new database we just launched, a new website, also will offer new ways to connect with other members. And really, I think we are just like starting with that. So we're really hoping like the members actively use that, and it will also like show us like different means beyond like our virtual events or in-person events.
Great, thanks, Chris. And I'm going to take this last question, which we get all the time, and that is, how can I get more involved in the TEA? And here's the problem I have in answering this. If you're listening to me answering this, if you're watching live or you've tuned into this, you probably didn't ask this question. It's the people that don't show up to the events and don't show up to the communication that usually ask this question. So my first answer is show up. But for those that are here, thank you for being here. And when you hear that question, please help us by giving that answer to those that ask. That's the easiest way, is to get involved in any area of the TEA, is to show up, talk to people, and use that connection opportunity. Obviously, volunteers, we have so many volunteer opportunities in the TEA. The lifeblood of the TEA is our volunteers. So please look out for those opportunities. We regularly send out communications, and we're very lucky with how many people do step up and volunteer. Committee opportunities, board member opportunities. Obviously, we have a call for board nominations every year that comes out around the August, September time. And committees are constantly being reviewed, rebuilt, and adjusted and created according to what's going on at the time. So always keep an eye out, tell us what areas you want to focus in, and we will find a place for you. So thank you for your offer to help. And the other thing is, please make use of the new tools that Melissa and Chris just mentioned and Melissa talked about earlier. I think our new database is going to offer so many opportunities for connection, and they will in turn provide opportunities to get more involved in the TEA. So with that, I'm going to finish up and wrap up for today. Firstly, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you to all of our speakers. I hope this has been informative. We will appreciate your feedback. As I mentioned, we are looking to do this more often. I think there's a number of people that you haven't heard from today that do so much for the TEA, the Masters, the Past Presidents Council, the Wellness Council, all of our committees. There's so many people that have got exciting information about what they're doing for the TEA to share, and I hope we can find some other ways throughout the year to let you hear from them and, of course, engage more with them. I want to thank our amazing staff for an amazing year. We're just getting started, and as I said at the beginning, we've got the right people in the right seats, and I really think we can achieve a lot over next year. And thank you again to all of our wonderful volunteers. And with that, I'll say thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful holiday season, and hope to see you in the new year.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Cheers all. Happy holidays.
Thanks.
Take care, everybody.
Take
Happy
care.
holidays.
Happy holidays. Take care, everyone.
Bye.